Hey Hero fans, this is Todd. So I'm here to talk to you about the new He-Man cartoon from Netflix called Masters of the Universe Revelation. So let's go ahead and go through this. I'll tell you guys my opinion about it and how I feel about the cartoon, and maybe a quick synopsis of what happened during the cartoon as well. So the first part of the cartoon opens up with a flashback, and we see the sorceress before she's a sorceress and how she gets her power. And there's baby Teela in Man-at-Arms' hands. And we find out that Duncan, or Man-at-Arms, and the Sorceress are already an item. They're already like a married couple or something, which is different than the storyline you've seen in the past, where Fisto was potentially Teela's daughter and Duncan was his adopted father. So in this storyline, he's her actual father, and of course the Sorceress has always been her mother. So there you go. And she's holding Teela, saying goodbye to her. It's her last time seeing her, technically, because she's going to basically live inside Castle Grayskull, which I don't understand why they just all don't move to Castle Grayskull. And she could see her all the time. I don't quite get why they couldn't do that, but anyway, let's go and continue on. Look at the amazing graphics. I tell you, the way they drew this is just really cool looking. Look at the floor on there and the bowls and the candles, and it's just amazing the way that they did the graphics for this particular cartoon. So then we see her stepping into the water. If you look on her forehead, that blue paint she put on her nose, it almost looks like the Power Sword. I don't know if that was intentional or just the way it looks with her just doing like the bird markings on her head. But it's cool. They all kind of glow like Avatar Last Airbender when she goes in there to show she's getting filled with the power from the water, you know. So kind of cool. So then, of course, it goes back to right now, current day, and there she is, trapped still. And there we see Skeletor walking around and taunting her. Now, in this episode, as it starts out, Skeletor is still Super Saiyan Skeletor. He still has the power of Grayskull, and he's still, holding on to that power. And of course, it takes place right after the other episode, so it's still inside the castle. He already stabbed Prince Adam, and it's continuing on, so no time has passed between the two series. And then we see Teela still sporting the short hair, of course, because no time has passed. So there she is. And Evil Lynn, of course, is sporting the long hair, which you guys know I love, the long hair. And she really rocks it. It's kind of cool. And, of course, there is Cringer. Now, I picked this scene because I like the scene. It's kind of cool. Cringer, getting ready to pounce. It's kind of a cool scene while he's coming out of the shadows up above and jumping down and, getting into the bad guy's business. And Man-at-Arms, still as cool as ever. His big old cannon, actually his left hand, big old cannon on his wrist. And you don't mess with Man-at-Arms. He's rough, he's tough, and he is a force to be reckoned with. There he is right there, starting to attack Skeletor, and Skeletor just grabs it. Now, if you take a look, I would imagine Skeletor is, if you take a look at that beam across the back going diagonal, it's across the middle of Duncan's upper thigh. And then if you take a look at the beam going across on Skeletor in the same spot, that kind of angle, I guess it's angling this way, it's mirror. It's right up there, just right above his knee. So if you take a look at where his head is on Man-at-Arms to Skeletor, his head would be about right about here on him. And so this much more is how much taller Skeletor is of Man-at-Arms. And you're looking at probably 1.5 feet, 2 feet. So not only did the power of Grayskull make Skeletor strong, but it also made him big and tall too. Which is funny because we know that He-Man gets a little bigger in this particular episode, but is he really that much bigger? So kind of interesting how much overpowered Skeletor got with the power of Grayskull compared to He-Man. And of course, we got Beastman still in this one. Arrgh. I just kind of wish they would have included some armor with him, but, still really cool looking. A little different than we're used to seeing. And then, of course, there is Evil Lynn. Evil Lynn. And it's kind of crazy. I've noticed she doesn't wear her head, or not her head, doesn't wear her headdress a lot in this cartoon series, which is kind of cool, so you can really see, what she actually looks like instead of always wearing the headdress on it. Now, in the original cartoon, she always had really short hair, except for then they showed younger versions of her in the 2000X, and her hair was a little longer, but never as long as it is in here. Then we see the Sorcerer. She has this kind of face look on her face, and what she's saying is to Skeletor, "You are no god. You are just playing one," which I really like. It's like, yes, you're not a god. Now, of course, you guys know where I stand. There's only one god, and obviously Skeletor is not it. So let's go ahead and continue on. Now, as the scenes continue and they escape Castle Grayskull and everything else, they finally make it back, and you can see we have Fisto, which is kind of cool, and then we have also Clampchamp. Well, why is Clampchamp looking at Fisto like that? Like, hey man, what's going on? Why is he giving him the eye? Let me tell you why. Because right before this scene, he is yelling at someone, Andrea, saying that she's a thief. Why does he think she's a thief? She's just standing there minding her own business. The prince is standing right next to her. He doesn't see the prince. And then Tila's standing right there too. He doesn't see Tila. So it's like, why does he single out this one person, Andrea, and say, you're a thief? I'll tell you why. Because, sorry to tell this to you guys, but Fisto is a racist. And he knows it. Look at that look. There you go. So Fisto in this cartoon, racist. Anyway, because there's two other people standing there and he points just at her. It's kind of obvious. Well, unfortunately, they get attacked by Skeletor's power and they turn into these demon-like monster creatures that there's no return from, so the bad guys have to kill them. When they do this, say, hey, you know, it's okay, their souls are going to go to wherever they're going to go, and they'll be okay. And Skeletor's like, no, I have their souls here in my hand. And then he holds them to show them, like, oh, no. And then, they are, and crush. I've killed them all for real. And then they're going to go down to the depths of the evil place. So they're like, hey, that's not cool, man. Not cool at all. And then He-Man kind of laughs, or actually Prince Adam. And he says, what are we laughing about, man? And he's like, because I have the spark, and I am going to turn into something with the power of Grayskull. I don't know what it is, but I have the power anyway. And he calls out the power, and it calls down to him without the sword. And the explosion is huge and big and vast, and it's like, what's going on? And everyone's like, ah! You can see Skeletor's cape just flapping in the breeze because of all the blast coming out, and there he is. Urgh, big old He-Man, and this is like a monster form. You know what? I've seen this before. Where have I seen this big old muscle-bound, angry, out of control? Oh, it looks like the Hulk. There we go. It's Hulk He-Man. Ah! Angry Hulk. Angry He-Man, smash! So look at the faces of Tila and Andrea right there. Oh! It's kind of funny to have the expression. Now I gotta admit though, the artists that did this, they did a good job. I mean, look at the terror in their eyes. You can tell they are kind of fearful. So this is not the normal He-Man they're used to seeing. This is a giant monster brute of a hulking He-Man, which when I was a kid, it's why I got into He-Man in the first place, because I was a Hulk fan, and it's like they didn't have any good Hulk figures, and here's this muscle-bound looking guy, kind of matched what, you know, Barbarian, Conan, He-Man, all the stuff I was into. Or not He-Man, the Hulk, yep. It was just everything I was into back when I was a kid. So there he is, he got a battle axe, and now he is just slicing and dicing these people. He's slicing and dicing them. These are the villagers. These are not Skeletor's minions that have joined him willingly. These are people that happen to be around at the time when Skeletor's gases came in and turned them into these minions-like, and he's just chopping them up. I mean, we see bodies ripped in half, legs and arms missing, a head missing on one of the guys, 2 heads missing, 3 heads missing. He chopped off 3 of their heads as he's swinging the axe around and sliced their bodies in half. He's just flinging and slicing. Now, as far as I know, He-Man's never killed anybody before. I mean, he almost did in Filmation, but then it was a trick because that one guy's heartbeat didn't go after he, you know, knocked down that thing and it killed the guy accidentally, you know. And of course, then He-Man relinquished the power of Grayskull and threw away the sword. And you've seen the story in Filmation. So I wonder if the writers are like, how can we get He-Man to do some major carnage? I know, we'll turn him into a Hulk-like beast that has no mental thought process, just nothing but pure rage. The rage of Grayskull. So that's what's going on here. And of course, he runs outside, and there's more mayhem to be had. Lots more villagers to kill. And he's again slicing and dicing and killing all kinds of people. Arms flailing, bodies being sliced in half. And it's like, wow, this is our hero? Okay. Thanks, Netflix. So Obviously, I love the giant hulking He-Man, but I don't like the part where he's just ripping through people like they're nothing without no regard for their life. Because, I mean, right now they're villainous, evil-looking people, but they've been under Skeletor's spell. They're actually good villagers that he used to protect. And now he's just shredding through them. And look at that face. I mean, yes, the idea was cool, but I think it took it too far. He could have just knocked him out of the way. He could have hit him out of the way. He could have knocked him out. They could have figured out some way to use the power of grace. So maybe when he touched them, the power was still flowing through him and it turned him back to heroes or back to humans. That would have been cool too. So as he's just touching and hitting and knocking people, you know, the power of Grayskull is flowing through him and it just turns them all back to humans. I'd have been fine with that too. You don't need to slice and dice good people that are under the influence of evil. So now we see Skeletor and he's starting to manhandle Evil Lynn. Manhandle Evil Lynn. We've never seen Skeletor ever treat Evil Lynn bad in any of the cartoons we've seen. Now there was a time when he was really mad at her and he was going to sacrifice her to some demon in 2000X, but he still didn't hit her or slap her or grab her or anything else. And so you look at that face. You can see she's not happy about this. This is not the normal thing. Something is going on. He is turning into a really evil guy. Now I do want to talk about this for a second. As you can see, obviously her wrist is hurting her. He did hurt her. And you can see everybody else is kind of standing around, kind of shocked, like, what the heck is going on? Why is this guy acting like a total jerk? So I want to talk about domestic violence just for a second. I know this isn't about that, but I don't think this cartoon should really show this type of thing. This is beyond the cartoon. Now, domestic violence, you know, is not a joke. It's something real. In fact, the only time we see Evil Lynn hit in any of the cartoons at all is this one scene right here, where Evil Lynn and Count Marzo are off to bring back Hordak. And when they do, at the last minute, things go wrong, and then Count Marzo turns on her. She tries to stop him, and then he slaps her back across the face. And we see her get hit that way. He's the only guy that's ever done it. Kind of a jerk move. And so I think when Skeletor did this is not his character, right? He's not some redneck or whatever back, you know, whatever you want to call it. Some guy that is just a jerk, chauvinist type guy that's going to show his power by rooting it over women. I think this is totally wrong. Now, if you are in a domestic situation, like I said, domestic violence is not a joke. I did include the phone number here for you guys. It's 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-7233. It's not a joke. It should not even be in a cartoon like this. I think this is not a after-school special or anything else. It's kind of weird and misplaced. And I actually found it really uncomfortable. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but it was. So then we're back to the hulking He-Man causing havoc. And in one of the scenes, he also ends up grabbing Tila's hand the same way. It's like, come on. What is this with men abusing women in this cartoon? It's so messed up. So there he is. He's being held back, and his dad's right there, and his dad's trying to talk to him, and he's just yelling and, you know, screaming at him, kind of basically, you know, like the Hulk would. And he goes to get up and smash him, and then he hugs him. And then, of course, this changes everything, because now he realizes and he turns back into Adam, and everything's good. Now, this scene is pretty cool. I actually, this scene touched me a lot, and it actually even challenged me as a dad with one of my own children. You know, I mean, talk about unconditional love. Here he's getting ready to smash him, Hulk smash, you know, and he just comes in for the hug and changes the whole thing. So then, of course, Prince Adam's like, hey, my parents, they're back, I'm back, everything's great, everything's wonderful. And of course, you know, Queen Marlene is like, no, it's not. The king and I are having problems. We're heading towards a divorce. It's like, what? What is going on here? First, domestic violence. Now we're talking divorce with a kid. I mean, it's crazy how much they put into this. I mean, I swear I'm watching an after-school special or a special Sunday movie, you know, one of those ones you watch. It's like, it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. Anyway, let's continue on. So what I do like about this is one of the eyes of Castle Grayskull. And you can see there's the other eye right there. And it looks like the toy. If you were to cut out the holes in the eyes of the toy, here's what you would see. And they even got the rug in there too. And that's really cool. They have the flag in the background too. So it's reminiscent of the toy, which we have not seen before in any of the cartoons, that they actually took keys from the original 80s toy to put it into the cartoon. And I actually love that. So here's Evil Lynn. You know, obviously she was just hurt by Skeletor and things are kind of going crazy, you know, and what's going on. And it's the whole cycle you see all the time in all the movies like Burning Bed and all the other ones where, you know, the cycle continues. And of course, you know, they always make excuses for the abuser. And it's just, like I said, it just gives me kind of a sickening feeling they put this in this cartoon, because it really changes the whole dynamic. Because Skeletor's a bad guy, but he still has his code, you know. There's really not a reason to hit women. Now, you may think of a reason like, oh yeah, well, she did this, she did that. But really, when it comes down to it, a man should never hit a woman. In fact, a woman should never hit her husband either. I think domestic violence is completely wrong. And so, of course, Beastman comes in to console her and says, hey, you have the power. You are the new, you know, queen of the castle or whatever. And the power flows through you to go to Skeletor. You can get out of the situation. And it's kind of like he's like the best friend girl that's telling him all the time, hey, you know, you don't have to stay in this abusive relationship. You can get out of it. So, again, weird. Not, and you can see the flags in the back I was talking about too. So she goes and tells a story about how her and Skeletor met. How basically her parents tried to eat her, and so there's cannibalism in this. So she ran to live with the rats and ended up stealing. And then she tried to conjure up a magical ball and it didn't work. So then Skeletor comes to save her. And what's interesting is he's not Keldor. He is Skeletor. He's always been Skeletor in this cartoon. And you can see he's holding her hand out to her. Let me help you up, child. You know. And then we find out that he actually, you know, teaches her magic and indulges her and everything else. But she hates Skeletor. She even says in this cartoon, I've always hated him. It's like, that's messed up, you know? And so I realized the relationship is more like that of a Skelly pimp. You know, basically pulls her off the streets and everything else. And of course, she even treats him that way. She actually tries to seduce him to give up the power, and he does. So basically she says, hey, I will be with you, I will have sex if you give the power up, because I don't want you in the power when we're together, because it might hurt me. So go back to Skeletor. And she even kisses him on his bony face with no lips. Okay, kind of weird. And then, of course, you know, he thinks, all right, you know, and she's like, haha, I tricked you, got the sword, and we're not being together. And in fact, I am using it. And she yells by the power of Grayskull. And then she changes into this mammoth, short-haired. Where'd her hair go? Why did they just pull her hair off as she gets the power of Grayskull? In fact, she becomes Susan Powers. You guys remember Susan Powers? She was the one that had an issue with her husband, and so she decided to leave him and become fit. And back in the time, her stuff was awesome. Don't get me wrong, Susan Powers, excellent job. But nowadays, it's becoming more of a cliche. I mean, she even kind of looks like her with short hair and same kind of eye makeup, similar. Anyway, so there she is. So Skeletor goes to Prince Adam and says, hey, we got to do something. In fact, right now, her power is strong, but nothing like it's going to be when everything lines up. And once it lines up, whammo bammo, she's going to have just exponentially more power than she has now once it all lines up. And I think she's so angry right now that she's going to just destroy the whole multiverse, universe, whatever. Everything's going to be destroyed because of her anger. He's like, oh, yeah, interesting. Okay, let's go handle this. So they go to Castle Grayskull, and we see Pig Boy. Now, we saw him earlier, but not a close-up. If you don't know who Pig Boy is, what happened was when they made the 1987 movie, some kid won a contest, and his contest was, you get to be in the brand new He-Man movie. How cool is that? So imagine this kid, oh, I want to be in He-Man, telling all his friends, you know, and then he goes to the movie set and they dress him in this costume. You can't even tell who he is. I mean, imagine how cool it would have been if they would have just left him human, and then he would have been in the movie forever with his own face, where he could show his kids, his grandkids, his friends, but they dress him up like this, you don't even know who he is. Anyway, take a look at the difference, how close they are. Really cool nod. I like they threw Pig Boy in there. That's awesome. All right, Orko's back because they opened the pit to down below. All the evils come out, and Orko was trapped down there, so he is back, and he is kicking butt and taking names. And I like this Orko. I've always disliked Orko, okay? Since Filmation came out and this whole little kid routine and always messing up and throwing eggs on, Man-at-Arm's head all the time, and it's like, come on, Orko. I know he's supposed to be the avatar for kids when they watch the cartoon. He used to drive me crazy. He was just, he would go on the missions with them, and it's like, what does he have to add to the missions? Really? He's always in the way and always a nuisance. Once in a while, he did help out, but usually he was more in the way. But in this cartoon, kicking butt. And it was cool. And he was even taking out someone like Scareglow. I mean, that was pretty cool. And of course, he eventually gets the sword back for Adam. Adam raises the sword, and he turns back into He-Man, which it's like finally we get He-Man back. Finally, he's ready to go. We got him, and he is raring to go. But not only did he turn himself into He-Man, he also turned Skeletor back into Super Saiyan Skeletor. What? If you have the power to turn other people into super beings, why not turn Man-at-Arms into He-Man-at-Arms? Or why not turn Teela into, Super Saiyan... Oh, it's not Teela, that's Evil Lynn. Into Super Saiyan Teela. I mean, all this time he could have transformed somebody else with the power of Grayskull. How selfish, right? I mean, they could have always won. They would not even be in this situation now. And if Man-at-Arms had the power, he would have just killed Skeletor. He'd been done with it. He would not be this, he'd be like, hey, let's get this done. This is not going to ever happen again. Now, I thought maybe he used the power he uses to turn Cringer and the Battle Cat into Skeletor, so he could only do it for one entity. But no, he also turned Battle Cat too. Look at Battle Cat's face. He looks pretty annoyed. Why'd you change Skeletor too? So of course he tells Skeletor some lame storyline like, well, I want you to see what it's like to do good. It's like, dude, he just caused all this devastation. He made you as He-Man kill all those people because he gave him an evil spell, and you're just gonna crank him right back up? When he was back at the place and Skeletor was showing him the giant globe and the power in the middle and everything else, he should have had him taken away in chains then and not go help him fight. And he should have had one of his cohorts here to turn into the Super Saiyan version of themselves and kick butt. Did they just want to reuse frames? Did they just, they figure they're selling the figure, might as well get the most out of it? I don't know. So He-Man and Skeletor join forces to take out Evil Lynn. Oh man, that is so messed up. Just earlier I was saying that he was the one doing domestic violence to Evil Lynn. And now he brings... And imagine you're a cop, right? And you go to a house where there's domestic violence and you arrest the husband. And then all of a sudden, the wife goes on a shooting spree or something. So you grab the husband to help you catch the wife. Or whatever, maybe. Now, Evil Lynn didn't go on a shooting spree because she didn't hurt anybody. Let's think of something else. Something not quite as... Okay, she goes on a shopping spree with stolen credit cards. There we go. That's probably more apt because she stole the power. And so now you bring in her husband that was arrested for domestic violence to go back and help capture her? No! Oh. And I thought he was supposed to have some sort of wisdom. And he's the prince. I mean, that alone, he should have some schooling in, diplomacy and with Man-at-Arms teaching him. I mean, he should know this is a bad idea. It's a bad idea, man. Even Skeletor knows it's a bad idea. What? You changed me too? Oh. Okay, I'll continue. So then, of course, they see the battle lines drawn, and it is huge. There's the king and Andrea, and you can just see all the fighting. Now, what I do like about this is look at all of the shadow beasts. Now, in this particular cartoon, the shadow beasts are all different sizes, and I think that's kind of cool. We got smaller shadow beasts and medium-sized shadow beasts and big shadow beasts. I think that's pretty cool that they actually made different sized shadow beasts. Just kind of makes it more fun. Then we got flying creatures too. And then we have, of course, the flying monkeys, the Stratoses, and we got the buzz-off people, and we got the little ships in the air and everything else. So lots of ground, lots of air. They're going to town. So now we have Teela, and she's going down into the depths of the water so she can become more than she is now. Which, of course, Adam could have just hit her with the sword and been done at this. Why have to go through all this trouble? All right. So she does become more. She becomes the new sorceress, but with power. She decided she's not only going to just be the regular sorceress, but she wants to be the sorceress infused with the power of Grayskull, which of course made her hair grow. Hooray! Her hair's long now. Looks way better. And there she is in her full glory, and she has become Captain Marvel. Oh, okay. Same character, but different show. All right, so we see her, and she is ruthless, knocking out some teeth of evil Lynn. Come on. Do you really have to go that far? I mean, look how far she hit her cheek. I mean, that is like, whammo! Violent. And then, of course, their fight continues above Castle Grayskull and above all the melee of the fighting. See, look at the different size shadow beasts. That's just so cool. So then Skeletor, of course, turns on He-Man. No surprise. We all saw it coming. What were you thinking, He-Man? What was going on in your head? And He-Man's like, you know what? I'm not even going to fight you. I'm out of here. So he just leaves the castle. And now I wanted to show you this top view of the castle because I want you to see that it's extra long wide, which is kind of crazy because I've always thought Castle Grayskull was more square. See, like this little thing right here where it's square on top. And I actually like the square shape better because, you know, it just kind of looks more like a giant keep or castle. I just like that better. The long one, like it shows in this cartoon, I believe they showed it in Filmation as well with the longer one like that. But I just like it square. I'm not much of a rectangle Castle Grayskull guy, but you guys will put it in the comments that you like better, the rectangle shape or the square shape. Let me know. And of course, the bomb that comes out is Ram Man. Hey, all right, Ram Man. And so then He-Man leaves the castle. He goes out and kicks butt all over the place. You know, he even flies around and kills all the things in the air, lands on the ground, kills all the ground power, big old explosions, and he is just taking care of business. Taking care of business. And then, of course, the fight continues between Evil Lynn and the new sorceress Teela. Is her hand on the blade there? Looks like her hand's right on the blade the way they drew that. That's not a good way to hold a sword. Anyway, I think it's really cool the way Evil Lynn's just, you know, just blocking that. It kind of reminds me of a Wonder Woman type moment. She has the, you know, the big old bracelets on and she's just blocking stuff with it. I actually like her costume. It is really cool looking. Just not a fan of the short hair. If they had done the same thing with the long hair, I think it'd be really awesome. Now, she does have the crazy makeup scheme, which reminds me of something from the 80s, like a punk rock type scheme or something, which is kind of cool. And I'm okay with that too. Just why not leave the hair the way it is? I know, I talk too much about hair. Sorry, you guys. Anyway, their battle continues, and it's cool, and it's brutal. And then they decide to talk. Hey, you know what? I think you're wrong. Hey, you know what? I think you're wrong too. Well, let's discuss this. In fact, this place we're at is actually my vision that I brought you to. And let me show you a little story here of beautiful magic and rainbows and everything else. And, you know, a snake and a bird, and they crash into the water. And, oh, there is a purpose to magic. Yes, there is. And here it is. So, da-da-da. And, of course, Evil Lynn's like, oh, I didn't know there was order into the universe. And all this time I was wrong. I thought it was just chaos. So what if it was just chaos? Why destroy it because there's just chaos everywhere? I don't totally understand her whole motive, but whatever, you know. So then, of course, she relinquishes the power of Grayskull. And when she does, her hair stays short. What? Anyway, so and her makeup goes away. See, look at the difference. Lots of makeup. Looks like she's part of, what was it? What? The holograms from Jim? The punk rockers. Anyway. And she has just blue eyeshadow now instead of the big old purple. Oh, well, I'll stop going back and forth. One more time. Da-da! Da-da! She gets her fur coat back. And then, of course, He-Man and Skeletor are back at it. And Skeletor's like, you're not going to ignore me, He-Man. I'm coming down. And I'm going to fight you. This will be our final battle. Just like they said in the movie. Because they have to, you know, bring back all these things. And then He-Man's like, hey, this isn't about us. This is much bigger than us. Let's just stop this. And of course, he ends up beating Skeletor up and throws him in the atmosphere. And we don't know what happens to him. He just vanishes like a Dragon Ball Z thing. Bing! Into the background. Bing! Anyway, so then Teela brings down Evil Lynn. And then, of course, they use their powers to open up some void, magic void into the sky. And it sucks up all the evil. This reminds me of something else I've seen. What was that? Oh, the Lion King, the roar. Ah, as he's roaring, and all of a sudden all the dead comes to life and everything else because he roars. So this is the Lion King roaring moment right here with them blasting this thing and sucks up all the shadow people and everything else. And it also starts to suck up Orko. No, not Orko. Oh, he'll be gone forever. And then Evil Lynn in her new friendly form goes, I will save you, Orko. And she grabs him out. Of course, she doesn't say it that way. She goes, I forget what she says exactly. But basically in a gruff voice, you know. And she saves Orko, so now he's back to continue living on in future episodes. All right, all the people are happy. Hooray, we've been saved. In fact, look. Even Jesus showed up. Hooray! Anyway, look at that scene of all those people. How crazy is that? Now, it's hard to believe that so many people are left after He-Man slaughtered all those ones at the beginning in the palace. And who were they? Were they palace workers? All these people he slaughtered earlier? But now we have all these people from all over the place. And they're all happy. I mean, if they knew what he did earlier, they go back home. And their loved ones are laying on the ground. The spell's been broken. They're all sliced in half and in pieces and heads chopped off. Let's say they all revert back to what they were before they were the monsters. And they just see all their loved ones on the ground, sliced and slaughtered. I don't think they're going to be so happy about He-Man. But right now, they're happy. And they make a statue of He-Man and everything else because they're so happy about it. There he is. Oh, look what I did. Anyway. Let's see. 2 hands on the hip. Teela has 1 hand on the hip because that's more cool, and so is Evil Lynn. Andrea has 1 hand on her hip, and that's about it. King Rando's only one standing cool without the... Oh. I tell you, that Battle Cat's never happy. He's still frowning. All right, now, Teela and Anna have a moment. They hold hands and everything else, and she goes, now I know you're really He-Man because you finally have stepped up and tried to ask me out. And, of course, you know, she's endued with the power. And way, way, way out of the league of Prince Adam, but not out of the league of He-Man, which she now gives the power to him anyway. And we know in the future story they actually get married and they have a kid. And who knows, the original story, the kid was actually adopted by them. But in this cartoon, they may, if they go that route, have it their child directly. So we'll see. All right, and then Evil Lynn, her hair grows back. Hey, how'd that happen? I tell you. These people and their hairstyles just change so quick back and forth. It's like, how can you go from no hair to long hair without getting the extensions or whatever? Well, anyway, here we see hippie Evil Lynn. And she's got the jewel in her head, some weird little crown, her long, straggly hair, and kind of a shawl hanging down. So she looks very hippie-ish right now. And she's holding her magic staff. And she decides, you know, I think I am going to just put down the magic. Don't know why. Whoop, skipped ahead too far. Don't know why she did it, but whatever. So she's going to live off the land, making hemp bracelets and continuing on her life. Yay, Evil Lynn. All right, then we see this winged, crazy robot creature that came out of Motherboard, I think it was called. And they're holding Skeletor down, and she's just mammoth, and she's scary, and she's got big old wings. And she then takes her tentacles from her hand and they push into Skeletor's dead flesh. Because, you know, that's why he's blue. He's dead flesh, right? And then turns him into a half robotic, like some kind of techno virus or something. And then we find out coming out our forehead is the symbol of a Hordak. So is the next episode or next season going to be all about Hordak? Are we going to see She-Ra? What's going to happen? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So, or is this Hordak? Is this lady going to be Hordak? Is Hordak going to be a female in the next version? That could happen too. I mean, I would not put it past them to change gender on Hordak as well. So that could be something. So there we go. There is my whole spiel on how I feel about the Revelation. First episodes, loved them. As they continued on, I started liking it less and less. And as you can tell, kind of my frustration with some of the storyline. And yeah. It's just not the He-Man I grew up with. Now, if you like this He-Man, that's cool. We're getting more figures because of it. That's awesome. I mean, this Man-at-Arms is a pretty cool looking Man-at-Arms. I mean, He-Man is the wrong color. He's more jaundicey than he should be. But I gotta admit, some of the figures are pretty cool. I can't wait to see the Savage He-Man figure come out. So, leave your comments below. Let me think. Am I way off the left base? Am I right on? Or how do you feel about my commentary on this? All right. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and I will see you guys next video. Bye now. See you guys later.